kiddos! Welcome to your math lesson for today. As you can see, our objective is preparing for Monday's test. So yes, fifth graders, that is right. Our first math test is taking place on Monday, September 21st. Okay, that is this coming Monday. So our goal today and tomorrow is really going to be practicing getting ready for that test and making sure that we are as prepared as possible. So to get ready for today's lesson, you are going to need the following things. You will need your math resource binder. You will need, I shouldn't even say a piece of paper. You will need, some paper. And you will need a pencil. Okay, and if you want to use a whiteboard or whiteboard marker instead, that's fine as well. So if you need to pause and go get those things, please do so now and then come on back. All right, so fifth graders, that math resource binder, I want you guys to have that available because that is something that you will be allowed to use during your tests. I don't want you using homework, old homework, but you can use your math resource binder. Look in there and have that as a tool to use during the test, okay? And really to show me, and again, remember with that test, the goal is to show me what you have learned, what you understand. This is how I know kind of where you're at. So for today, really what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to flip the camera around and I'm going to be writing problems for you to practice. They're going to be similar problems to the ones I might ask you to do on the test. So you should have your pausing finger ready to go because I'm going to write these problems for you. I want you to pause. I want you to try to solve them. And then once you've solved them, I want you to come back and see how you did and see, compare your answers and see where your corrections are at. So it'd be a great opportunity too as you're doing these problems to maybe jot some notes to yourself. If you're having a tough time with a problem, you could circle it. You could say, I need more work with this. And then that would be something that you could bring to office hours to me or to Mr. Tom Hay to come and say, I'm having some trouble with this particular topic. Can you help me? Okay. So today we're just going to go through a bunch of practice, and then I have a couple of additional problems that I want you to work on for homework after you've worked through this lesson with me, giving you some practice problems. So hopefully you're ready to go. And again, challenge yourself to do the best you can and then see if you can figure out where mistakes happened. So here we go. Okay, well, you can't see that. I apologize. So I've asked you to write 5,362,001 in expanded form. So to remind you, your answer is going to be the kind of thing where you break each part into its individual place value. So pause, try it, come back and see how you did. So remember, when we're working on expanded form, fifth graders, we start with the largest place value, so we write that digit down, and then everything else becomes a 0. So since there's 6 place values after, you should have 6 zeros. Then you go to the next non-zero digit, which is 3. And then you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros afterwards. Then you go to the next non-zero digit, which is 6, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros after. Remember, we need to, then we go, to the next non-zero digit, which is 2, and we have 1, 2, 3 zeros after. These next 2 digits are zeros, so we don't have to include them in our expanded form. Okay, we're only looking for digits that are non-zero. Our last digit is 1. There are no place values after it, so you don't need to have anything after it. Let's try another expanded form problem. We'll do one more before we shift gears. All right. Go ahead and write 23,020 in expanded form. Pause, and when you're done, come on back. So remember, you should have, starting with your largest place value, 2 plus 1, 2, 3, 4. Zeros after. Next is 3 plus 1, 2, 3. We skip that 0 because we don't write zeros in expanded form. So now we're at 2 plus 1, 0, and then we skip that 0. So you should have 20,000 plus 3,000 plus 20. Okay. All right, we're gonna do, I'm gonna move this up so it's there. $30. Okay, you're gonna write this number in standard form. Remember, standard form means write it using numbers. So your place value chart might be something that you choose to do, but these commas are grouping each part of it. So 217 million, that's one part of it. 32,000 is another part of it. 12 is another part of it. And then you're gonna have to make sure you're using zeros to keep track of place value. So pause, give it a try, come on back. So remember, I like to think of, we're looking at 100 million. So one tip that you could do is, you know that we're dealing with 100 million, so you could write in the number of places that we need to have our digits, okay? So 217 million. We have 217 million. Next is 32,000. So there is no 100,000. So we have a 0 there, and then 32,000. Finally, we have 12. So we can add a 0 there. All right. Next, I'm going to ask you to tell me what digit is in the, let's say, 10,000s place. Okay, I'm going to write a number. You tell me what digit is in the 10,000s place. Remember, you should be pausing and then coming back after each question. So we have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. You should have written 8. Okay, I'm going to change and say, what about 10 millions place? Pausing, then come back. So ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, 10 millions. You should have written down 2. Remember, this is a great opportunity to use your math resource binder. Check your place value chart. All right, round this number. To the 10,000s place. Give it a try, come on back. So remember, when we're rounding to any place, we want to put a box around the number that we're rounding to. Okay, now we look to the right. 5 or more, add 1 more. So that 7 is going to become an 8. Everything to the left stays the same. Everything to the right becomes a 0. So we should have gotten 23,580,000. Let's try one more rounding. Go ahead and round to the hundreds place and then come on back. So we look at the hundreds place. To the right is a 5, which means we want to add one more. Everything to the left stays the same. Everything to the right becomes a 0. So we should have had 37,300. Fifth graders, I am looking at the 10-minute mark on this video, which means you've probably been working for longer than 10 minutes. So this would be a great opportunity for you to pause, take a break, and you could always come back later. All right. Let's try some quick multiplication. So remember, I saw some of you guys on your homework were writing vertical multiplication for this, but remember, when we're multiplying by 1 followed by zeros, we should never do vertical multiplication. Because remember, we're multiplying this number by 1 and then adding zeros. So quickly, we should be getting our same digits plus 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, okay? Let's try another one, and I'll have you guys pause this time. Come on back when you've got it. So remember, these digits should stay the same, and we're adding 5 zeros. So this should be what you've gotten. Okay, remember what happens if it's not a 1, if we're multiplying by 400 or 4,000. So remember, we do our multiplication of the digits that are not 0, and then we add our zeros. Okay? So we get 128, but we add 2 zeros, so our answer is 12,800. Now you try. Come on back when you've got it. So we're multiplying 17 times 3. And we should have gotten 51,000. We also did some estimating together. And remember, with multiplication, I've been instructing you guys to make it as simple for yourself as possible. Round to that greatest place value. So in this case, we'd be multiplying 8,000 times 90. So go ahead and find an answer and then come on back. Remember, once we get this far, we should be doing a quick math fact and then adding zeros. So 8 times 9, we should get 72 plus 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. You try estimating now. And come on back and see how you did. So again, we want to round and make it as simple as possible. 400 times 60. These are the numbers we're multiplying, and we would add 3 zeros. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 3 zeros. Okay? Remember, with division, we're removing zeros. Okay, so if we're doing something like dividing by 100, we're going to cross out the zeros we have in common. Our answer would be 2,700. Okay? Something that has been giving us a little bit of trouble is this estimating with division, because we have to keep focusing on rounding smartly or prudently, fifth graders. So, if we're dividing by 73, remember what I instructed is you want to round your divisor, which is the second number, first. We want to round that first. Now we focus on these first 2 digits, and we want to find whatever is closest to these digits that is a multiple of 7. So we have to round prudently. We don't just round it to whatever we want. We want to round it prudently. So we think of a multiple of 7, it's 35, okay? Now we can cross out the zeros that there are in common. 35 divided by 7 is 5, and we have 1 0 left. So we get 50. I'm going to have you try one. Go ahead and pause and try, and then come on back. So remember, 5th graders, we want to round our divisor first. So this should be 40. Now, what is close to 29? That is a multiple of 4. And hopefully you picked 28. Okay, now we can do our division pretty quickly. Getting rid of those zeros in common. 28 divided by 4 is 7. We have to add 1 0 back, so we get 70. Okay. All right. Just as a very quick reminder, because I want to be mindful of how long you guys have been working. We have 2 things that I've been asking you to do with factors. First, I've asked you to list all factors of numbers. So to refresh your memory, when we are listing all factors of numbers, this is when we use our table. And we start with 1 and whatever the number is. And then we check what is 2. 2 works as well. Then we check 3, which does work here. Then we check 4, which also works here. And then 5 does not, and we've met back in the middle. So then we go ahead and list all these factors in order in a list. Okay, this is what we do when we're listing all the factors, which is different, 5th graders, than if I asked you to prime factorize. Okay? When I ask you to prime factorize, that's when you're looking at making this into only prime numbers. Okay? So we follow this process little by little until we can have only prime numbers. So we've been practicing this with exponents, but I'm going to give you a little sneak peek about this test. Right now, for some reason, when I'm working with Google Forms, it's not letting me use exponents. So actually, on your test, what you're going to see, if you've been given options for prime factorizing, it's just going to be listed out like this, and you're going to click, which is unfortunate, because I would far prefer to use exponents, but currently that's not available. So prime factorize is when it breaks up like this, and listing all the factors is when we have a table. And I also kind of provide this hint for you a little bit on your test as well. Okay? 5th graders, we're going to stop there for today. I want to be mindful of how much time you guys have already been spending practicing. If you've been working along with me, it might be even like 30, 45 minutes, maybe more. Okay? So, I've attached a homework assignment that's going to get you practicing a few of these concepts again. And then tomorrow, when you come back, there's actually going to be a practice test linked. Okay? And I'll have a video for you to kind of explain the practice test. But both today's work and tomorrow's work should really guide your studying. It should cue to you. These are some concepts that maybe I don't have down as much as I would like, and I'm going to study a little bit more for this test. And remember, part of your studying can be coming during office hours, mine or Mr. Tom Hayes, and asking for some additional practice of problems that are giving you a little bit of trouble, okay? Let me know if you have questions. If anything that I did on this video today is confusing to you, you can let me know. We can talk about it and clarify, okay? Good luck.